I undid my pants and I'm ready to go. I try to wear jeans because I want to look nice sometimes when I film, but the truth of the matter is I can't be fully comfortable because they're tight on my belly. So my pants are going to be undone for this episode. Enjoy that visual. Welcome to Human to Human. I am so excited to make this episode. It feels surreal to be sitting here about to record the episode all about how I ran 10 kilometers without stopping when I was never a runner. But before I get into that whole journey and sharing specifically why I did it, how I did it, and why I think you should do it, we're going to talk about some things that are a little TMI, because that's how we kick off Human to Human. And we finally got our first ever TMI submission. So if you go to the show notes on every single episode, my website, www.humantohumanpod.com, has a page where you can submit your own TMI story, or you can email a voice note to humantohumanpod@gmail.com, because I also want to share your weird oversharing stories where we overshare on the internet. And I woke up this morning, checked my email, and got my first ever TMI submission, and I am extremely excited to share it. We are keeping things fully anonymous. When you actually submit your story on my website, there's no spot to put your name, so I actually have no idea who you are. I'm going to put a spot where you put your pronouns so I can share properly for who you are and what you like to identify as, because I don't know this person's pronouns that submitted this story. Hello, girls/Jessica. Me and my partner/girlfriend/fiance/future wife need your assistance, support, advice, help, tips, tricks, ideas, info, opinions, thoughts, feedback. So if you also want to give feedback to this, feel free to go to that same spot on my website, humantohumanpod.com, and give your feedback, and then we can have an ongoing conversation. Okay, so we are both in our 20s as well, so around 24, 25, from the UK, which is so cool. I love that people from the UK are listening. I'm from Canada, if you didn't know. So basically, my partner has this weird fetish kink obsession for tummies/tummy buttons/belly buttons/belly/innies/outies. She specifically has a fetish for my belly/outie belly button, where my belly button sticks out a tiny bit on my belly. I don't know why I was born with my belly button sticking out. She basically wants to mess around, tease, play with my belly button in different ways, specifically with her wet tongue by licking my belly button. She also wants to suck on my belly button, as well as she wants to tickle it lots and bite it, nibble. Okay, basically, they want to do some belly button things in the bedroom, it sounds like. But this person submitting this story says, I have a very sensitive and ticklish belly button, and my belly is over hypersensitive. I really want this to work out with her, and I want to see if having my belly button teased, blown on, played with is something they can do. And they say that I have a very hypersensitive, ticklish belly button, and they're really self-conscious over having an outie belly button in general. Also, I want to know how I can turn the tables/tides on her by messing around/teasing/playing around with her tummy/innie belly button. Okay. First of all, we all have our different things we're into. So to each their own. I know someone who is obsessed with, okay, this is a person who's 12 years old. We need to just preface this for a second. It's not sexual yet. This person I know loves ears. Since the day he was born, he literally just wanted to touch everybody's ears. And if you see photos of him growing up, he's always holding his brother's ears in pictures. It's just something he loves. And recently I saw this person and I was like, oh my God, remember when you loved ears growing up? And he was like, oh my God, I love ears. So I was like, okay, you haven't grown out of this. Maybe you'll never grow out of this. And I assume maybe one day in the bedroom, this person will want to touch ears or do things with ears. And it's all about how you communicate with your partner, in my opinion. There are definitely things that my boyfriend likes done to him that I don't like done to me, and vice versa. And we've had to communicate this. I also feel for you, for the person submitting this question, because I hate having my belly button touched. And so if I was dating someone who felt the deep need and was very turned on by doing things with my belly button, I don't know how I would navigate it. And the way I think I actually would handle the situation is taking it day by day, taking it one sexual moment at a time, because some days I might be in the mood to experiment, and other days I might be like, do not go fucking near my belly button. And you are in charge of setting those boundaries, and your partner needs to respect them just respect them, point blank, period. And if they don't respect them, then that's a circumstance where maybe the relationship isn't going to work out. But if you're able to communicate this and continue an ongoing conversation about your boundaries and what feels good with your body, like, consent is an ongoing process. You can change your mind at any point. They might do something with your belly button. You're like, oh my God, no thanks. And like, my boyfriend and I have had these conversations before too, where we're like, of course I love this one specific thing you do for me in the bedroom, but I'm not going to expect it every single time. We don't want to be doing the same thing every single time, because then you're in a routine and then things get boring, and then, you know, you don't have as much fun in the bedroom because you're just constantly touching each other's belly buttons. My belly button is not being touched, but sometimes he just wants to do a little poke. And so, I don't know. In terms of you turning it around on them and wanting to do stuff with their belly button, if you're not into the belly button stuff, don't do the belly button stuff. Like, my boyfriend likes something specific for him. I'm not going to be like, okay, because I always do this thing for you, you need to do it right back to me. No, maybe I'll ask, hey, can you touch this different part of my body or pleasure me in this different way? Because that's what's going to feel good for me. If it doesn't feel good, or you don't have the desire to play with your partner's belly button, don't try to force yourself to play with their belly button. Every sexual circumstance, again, I'm going to repeat myself, is different. And so certain moments might be like a let's get freaky with the belly buttons. Other moments might be like a let's have really lovey sex and like really ignore that area of your stomach. It's also very hard because I'm not sure if the person actually submitting this question is a woman or a man or non-binary. But as a woman, speaking from my experience, my belly button is not my belly button. My belly button and my whole stomach is a pretty sensitive area for me, because I've always felt like I should have a flat belly or I should have abs, or like society always puts this pressure on women to like not have any flub on their bellies, which like, bitch, we all got some flub on our bellies. If we're sitting the way I'm sitting right now, I'm going to have rolls on my belly. So that's a whole other thing to navigate, is like your self-esteem about it, your body image about it. And so just make sure you're showing up in a very caring way with your partner and just checking in and asking things throughout the sexual process and being like, how's this feeling? Are we into the belly button today? Do you want to not do that? I don't have to steer clear. Some days I look at my partner and I'm like, I'm not going downtown today. I'm not going down there. And sometimes I just think it in my head. I don't have to tell him, but sometimes I think in my head that like my jaw is in a lot of pain. I'm not going to do some oral today. TMI. Yes, that's what we're doing. And that's fine. If your partner expects you to do a certain sexual act every single time you're hooking up, that's an issue. But also set some designated, maybe special, sexy dates to like get a little whipped cream all in that belly button. Make sure you're washing your belly buttons, okay? Please make sure you're washing your belly buttons, because there could be a lot of lint in there. Blech. Thank you so much for submitting that TMI story. I hope my advice helped a little bit. And if you'd like to submit a TMI story, please do, because it's really fun to share some other people's things that they may be a little bit embarrassed about, but we're all human. We're all normal. We're all weird. We're all of the above. So let's talk about it and get weird together. Taking quite a drastic shift now from that belly button conversation, we're going to talk about how I ran 10 kilometers without stopping, which I never planned to do if you asked me a year ago. But I always had an interest in running. I have dabbled with running. When I lived downtown Toronto, I would jog to the lake just to go see the lake and enjoy the view. When I lived in Vancouver, I would jog to the ocean just to go to the ocean and see the view. I was always going to get to a destination. I wasn't going for the experience. I actually hated the experience and the feeling of running. It didn't really make sense to me. I didn't know what a runner's high is. But I had this like deep inner desire. I think the real truth of what it was wanting to challenge myself. And I listened to Rachel Hollis's podcast a lot, and she talks about running, and she really encourages running as this mental sport, this mental act, where it's literally just you against you. And so I've heard her talk about running time and time and time again, but I just never felt the push to do it. And then I saw her in person. And there's something about seeing someone in person and getting that energy live in the same room. Oh, it's my dream. I want to do human to human on tour, on stage, telling crazy TMI stories and getting to actually feel the energy of all of you in the room. It would be epic. And I really felt a shift in my perspective seeing Rachel Hollis in person and getting to really just feel that those messages she gave out, feel that in person. And what really stuck with me when I walked away from that event was that she doesn't run to, like, yes, she runs to push herself physically, but more than anything, it's to challenge herself mentally and to show herself that she is capable of so much more than you can even think you are. So having that in mind and on my heart when I left, I was like, I'm just going to try. Tomorrow morning, I am going to get up and I'm going to take it real easy. My favorite thing that she talks about is not running for speed, running for distance. And so going into I called it my first ever run. Technically, I'd run before, but it was my first real run in a long time, and I had a real different intention this time. My first real run, I was like, we're not going to go really far. We're going to run really, really, really slow. If we feel like we can't keep going, you're going to take that pace down to a snail's pace where we're practically walking, but you still got that like jogging sensation going on. And I'm going to just try a few kilometers and come home and not go crazy. I had the route mapped out in my brain of my neighborhood where I knew it wasn't very long. I wasn't going to go very far from my house, so I could come back at any time. And when I went on the run, I was like, whoa, okay, I'm getting into a bit of a groove here. I'm getting into a bit of a rhythm. I had some good music playing. I realized what kind of music kind of felt best at the beginning of the run, because at the beginning of the run, I don't know, I have a sensitive little brain. And so playing something like Kendrick Lamar right away at the beginning of my run just didn't work for me. I needed to play some like Fleetwood Mac, some not crazy upbeat, but not really slow, a little in between, just kind of like a good pace run that's getting me in the groove to the songs, you know, the vibes. And I actually went a little bit longer on this run than I thought I would. I did 3 kilometers. I don't know how long it actually took me. I have everything on my Strava, and I am posting a reel on my Instagram at humantohumanpod that shows the progression of my run journey from literally my first run to my 10K race, which is just so cool. And I ran, I think it was about 3 kilometers, and I came home and I was like, okay, I did it. I didn't die. It felt pretty cool. I got into a groove. And Rachel always says, when you're in the state, this is a state of excitement, this is a state of flow, this is a state of inspiration, act on it. And I'd heard her say this so many times. When you're inspired, that's when you need to book your first race. And when you book your first race, you actually have something to look forward to. You have something that you're going to work towards and push yourself to that's going to keep you going. So when I felt discouraged later on, I was like, I have this race I have to train for. So call me freaking crazy, but after my first ever run and I did the 3 kilometers and I didn't die, I got home and I searched up like a turkey trot. I wanted to do like a Thanksgiving run. My mom said there was always Thanksgiving runs at my cottage just near in the area. So I was like, Googling it, like turkey trot, Muskoka, Ontario, and I actually didn't find a race for Thanksgiving weekend. I found it for the weekend before. And this was like in July, and I had no idea what I was going to be doing September 30th. But I decided what I was going to be doing. I was going to be running 10 freaking kilometers in Muskoka. So while I was looking, I thought I was going to do a 5K. I thought I was going to sign up for a 5K and just like keep it chill. But I saw that the 5K and the 10K were the exact same price. And I just ran 3K and didn't really have a lot of problems. So I felt like I could really, get to 5K really soon. And then I could really challenge myself to do 10 kilometers. Again, I'm running for distance, not for speed. So I was like, I think I could do this. And I want to push myself to do 10 kilometers because that'll force me to actually keep running between now and then. So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anyone I was going to go for a run. I didn't tell anyone I was going to book a race. I just fucking booked it. I probably told my boyfriend later that day, but I waited to tell my parents for a couple weeks. I didn't tell any of my friends. I really wanted to just keep this for myself. I also was terrified that I couldn't actually do it. So I didn't want to post on social media and be like, hey guys, I'm a runner now. If I didn't follow through. I didn't want to start to brag about this thing that was only just beginning for me and I'd thought about doing forever. I listened to an episode Rachel recorded all about how she never used to running marathons, and she had really, really helpful advice in it about running slowly, about not wearing a brand new workout set on the day of your race. That was a great piece of advice. Wear the thing that you run in all the time on the day of your race because you want to be really comfortable and know it's going to fit you well. There's not going to be random tags itching you. And I listened to that whole episode she recorded and I still wasn't ready. So it took me seeing her in person and being like, fuck, okay, I can do this. But my favorite piece of advice that she also gave in that episode was, do not post your selfie on Instagram before your run. Wait until after your run. And then I took that to the next level and I was like, I'm not posting anything about my running journey until I finish my 10-kilometer race, which was so fucking cool. It was genuinely a me against me. This is for me. This isn't to prove anything to anyone else. This isn't to gloat to anyone else. I am just gonna do this for my own self, my own mental strength, my own well-being. And during those first few runs, I kept hearing Rachel Hollis's voice in my head saying, it's you against you. It's you against you. It was all about showing myself that I was capable of running so much further than I thought I was and of doing things that I never thought I was capable of even doing. And so it just felt like such this like badass, hard challenge I was putting myself through. And then I don't want to say I got the runner's high because it doesn't, like that sounds like you're high off marijuana. A runner's high sounds like you've like blazed it and you're like, oh, I'm just like vibing in my own head on my own high right now. It doesn't feel like that. A runner's high to me is more like just this rhythm that you get into where it's just like you're listening to your breathing, you're tuned into the music you're playing, you're enjoying seeing all the surroundings happening around you, and you're zoned in. And what I didn't expect was that running became this sense of me time, this time where I actually was processing all these events happening in my life, all these conversations I was having, all these things I want to do. I was thinking about them in the back of my head while I was running, and it felt like such a healthy healing way to just digest and process everything going on in my life. And not only that, but it felt like a bit of a dance music moment for myself. I couldn't really dance while I ran or sing. I would have moments where I would have a fucking epic song come on and I'd be like, hey mister, won't you sell me a fake ID? There's a thing in the gun. Shout out if you know that song, Fake ID. It became popular from the movie Footloose, and that is on my run playlist. I will post my run playlist on my Instagram story at humantohumanpod. But I would try to sing while I was running and I would just be out of breath like it's nobody's business, and I would get a cramp. So I tried not to sing too much while I ran, but music is everything. It's what kept me going. It's what pushed me when I wanted to stop. It's what encouraged me. And let's talk about my race and how I didn't stop for 10 fucking kilometers. I never stopped running. I never started walking. Even when I got to a water station, they were holding out cups because a lot of people didn't want to stop. So I would just grab a cup and just down it while I was running. It just felt so cool. But there's a reason why I didn't stop. During my very first few runs, I started to realize that if I stopped, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to start running again. And it's a fully mental thing. Like, if you stop, you just got to get your head back in the game to start again. But I was really scared of that, and I didn't really want to test those waters yet. And there were definitely runs once I started hitting like 6 kilometers, 8 kilometers, whatever, like where I had to stop. Like, I remember an 8-kilometer run I did at my cottage, and like my fucking hip flexor was so tight I had to stop and just stretch it out because I couldn't keep going. But during those early runs, I was like, no, I'm not stopping because it'll take so much mental energy to like push myself to start running again. I'll just want to stop and just like walk the rest of the way home. So I got really good at challenging my mind to just keep at it. And every time I felt like I had to stop, I just slowed down. And then during my race, I wasn't racing anybody. I wasn't racing anybody but myself, first of all. But during my race, I think it was about, I was like thinking at 2.5 kilometers, what if I did this whole thing and I didn't stop? And that had been in my head leading up to it, but I didn't commit to anything. I didn't promise myself. Leading up to it, my mom was like, so what are you going for? Like your personal best? And I was like, I had never run 10 kilometers leading up to the race. I had done, I think 8.5 was my longest. And I was like, I trust that the adrenaline on the day of will get me to 10. I know my body can do 10. I've just never pushed myself on my own solo run to get to 10, but I've done 8. And after 8, I was like, I feel like I could do 2 more and it would be fine. So on the actual day, 2.5 kilometers in, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to go to 10 and I'm going to try at least and not stop and walk. And so then once I hit 5 kilometers, I was like, holy shit, I made it to 5 kilometers not stopping. Okay, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get to 10. And the way the race was lined up, actually, it was beautiful, but the logic of the map out of the race sucked because you ran 2.5 kilometers and then you turned around and you ran 2.5 back. And then you had to turn around and do the exact same like trail again and then turn around. So you did the same trail. You pretty much saw the same thing 4 times. So it was really hard to like challenge your brain to keep going because all the surroundings look the same. God bless, it was beautiful. I was running along a freaking river and the trees were changing color. It's fall vibes, baby. It was beautiful, but there was nothing changing in scenery. And so it was hard to kind of get your brain to just like stay stimulated. That's why I'm also very scared. I haven't ran on treadmills yet for like a long distance because I'm like, you can't look at anything. You're going to get so bored. But getting bored is a part of the fucking race. It's a part of the journey. What do you think about when you're bored? You let your mind wander. Your brain goes to so many different cool places that you would never expect it to go to. So challenge yourself to get bored. And near the end of my race, I wouldn't say I was bored, I was dying. It's hilarious because before I was a runner, I'm a runner. It sounds so pretentious. But before I was a runner, I would assume that people could run really far distances and their body wouldn't hurt. They'd be fine. I'm like, if you're running 8 kilometers, you're obviously like chilling for your 8 kilometers. Why would you run 8 kilometers if you were in pain? Because it's about the mental fucking game of it. And you're not in pain necessarily. Like, I wasn't in pain necessarily, but I was sore as fuck. My ankles got so sore. Even leading up to the race, my hip flexors got so sore. Make sure you're stretching before and after if you're running. I'm a big stretcher. But in those last 2 kilometers of my 10K race, I got weird. Shit got weird in my brain because my feet hurt so bad. I was so sweaty. Also, like, September 30th, the weather's kind of a toss-up at that time of year. Could have been cold. I expected it to be cold. It was not. It was hot and sunny. It was also at 3. Was it 3? I think it was 2 in the afternoon. 2 in the afternoon I was running. So it was hot as balls with the sun shining on us. I was just dripping in sweat. And I wanted to say too, with the race going, like the way the trail was laid out, you kept seeing the same people. You kept seeing the same people over and over and over, and you kept seeing them lap you, which is so discouraging. And when the run even started, I was near the front because I was like, let's get this shit over with. Like, I'm so nervous. Let's get this thing started. And all of these people were just passing me and passing me and passing me and passing me. And it trips you out. It really does. It makes me be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I run like any of these people? And then I'd be like, Jess, this is your first race. Like, you're not running for speed. You're not running for speed. But it does like hurt your ego. And after a while, you have to be like, okay, you're fine. Focus on your pace. Run to the right so people can pass you. And during those first couple minutes, my adrenaline was so high and my heart was pounding so much because it's like I had never run with anyone. I had always run alone. That's the next thing I want to challenge myself on, is like joining a running club or something. But I had always run alone. So having all these people running around me was definitely a mind fuck. And I've been scared to run with other people around me because I'm such a slow runner. So during those first few minutes, my adrenaline was so high, I had to be like, Jess, slow down, because you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to be able to like do this without having a cramp. And I did have a cramp for the first couple minutes, but like, it's such a weird experience if you've never actually run a race, because the adrenaline is really high, which is sick. And it's also really like overwhelming to be like, holy shit, look at all these fast people. My mom was like, Jess, this guy did 10 kilometers in the time you did a 5-kilometer run. And I was like, thank you, Mom. Yes, he's definitely been training to be the fastest at this 10-kilometer run. Appreciate that. But going back to what I was saying at the very end of my run, in the last 2 kilometers, I was in so much pain. And so I had to seriously entertain myself to get through it, because I knew I was so close to the end and I was so close to making it without stopping. I was like, okay, let's think about other things. And I would change my music throughout my whole run. I played one playlist that my brother made. It's called Dock Beers. It's literally about like relaxing at the cottage and drinking beers on the dock. I listened to it during a run, but I played that for the first 5 kilometers and then I switched to my own playlist for the last 5 kilometers. It was good to do that because I wanted to listen to my own songs that I've listened to over and over and knew all the words to and like really vibe to for the last 5 kilometers, because I knew it would give me that push. But so during the very end, I kept changing the song and I was trying to also coordinate what song I'd be listening to when I ran across the finish line. And if you run slowly, you can do things on your phone like that. Like you can change your playlist and whatever. Like I'm not running friggin' 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's fine. That's definitely not the term, but whatever. I'm a fresh runner. I'm a newbie over here. And so I literally ended up doing like the wave. I was like, oh yeah, we were almost there. It's fine. You're getting there. It's going to be okay. Like I was just getting so weird. And there weren't that many people around me because again, I'm slow. So I was like near the end of the people finishing. And also when I went from the beginning of the run and started to get into my groove of my pace, I would see these people and be like, oh my God, are we going to be near each other for the entire run? No, all of them lapped me. And they all finished way before me. And then the last thing I wanted to say about the very end of my run while shit was getting weird, my mind went to such a cool place where it started to picture my dream life. It started to picture where I want to be with my podcast. I was picturing me on stage talking like human to human, like the way I tell human to human stories. I pictured meeting you listening. I pictured meeting the people who actually tune into every episode and hugging you and hearing about how this podcast has helped your life or made you laugh or something. And I was thinking about all of this while my body was in so much pain and I was so close to being done my race. And it was just the coolest thing my brain has ever done. And I was like, I would never expect that moment to be the moment where it all became so clear on what I want and where I want to go. And it just proves that pushing myself to run really far distances not only showed me what I'm capable physically, but more than that, what I'm capable of mentally, what I'm capable of in my life, what I can push myself to do, where my dreams are meant to go, and the fact that I am actually 100% in control of that and 100% capable of making all of this happen. Whoa, baby. So that's really why I wanted to do this and why I want to share about it now too, because it's been having such a profound effect on my life. It's sprinkled into other areas too. It's sprinkled into my relationships and how confident I feel in my own self-worth. And I want to make an episode about confidence. And now I'm realizing I do got shit to say about confidence because I don't know. Confidence is kind of a weird topic to touch on, but it's really boosted my confidence and I'm challenging myself in different physical ways now too. I bought a workout plan from a trainer that my boyfriend uses and his best friend uses, and I'm challenging myself in the gym in ways I'd never expected. I was never a gym girly. I literally posted an episode in December of last year talking about how I compare myself to all these gym girlies and I'll never be a gym girly and I don't want to be one, when secretly I did want to be one. Secretly, I did want to be a runner. But when you finally start actually doing it and proving to yourself that you can be the thing you've always thought about being, that's when your fucking self-esteem shifts to this crazy next level of like, whoa, I'm not just talk anymore. I am walking the walk. And you actually don't need to talk about it as much. You don't need to try to prove yourself to people because your security in yourself is there. And I was always so nervous to go to gyms and work out in a gym environment, but my boyfriend pushed me and he showed me the ropes. And now that I have a workout plan, I go to the gym by myself multiple times a week, and I'm able to fucking feel good and know what I'm doing and not really pay attention to other people and just be on my own grind, baby. But now that I've mentioned being on a grind, I will talk about the reality of all of these physical things I've been pushing myself to do. Because in the last 4 months, I've gotten 2 colds. I've taken tons of time off working out, and leading up to my run, I would have moments where I'm like, oh my God, Jess, like, you need to be running more. You need to be practicing more. You need to be like pushing yourself more. But I also knew in my gut, like, I'm not going to overdo it. If I'm really sick, I'm not going to push myself. On my actual race day, I was fighting a cold and I still ran 10 kilometers without stopping. But the days after that were not good. I was pretty sick. I didn't do any physical activity for probably at least 5 days after my race. And now I'm like slowly getting back into it. It is almost 2 weeks since my race and I haven't run yet. I'm hopefully going to go for a run tomorrow, but I'm really listening to my body and easing into things. I used to work at a physiotherapy clinic, and when I started to run, I was trying to get advice from them or just like ask about like different things in terms of healing my body and making sure I'm not going to hurt myself. And one physiotherapist said, give yourself at least 3 full days off of running before you get back into it. Because she's like, if you keep running, and you're sore and you're sore and you're sore, you're going to keep like pushing yourself down, like pushing your body down to the point of injury if it doesn't have time to fully come back up to that equilibrium and heal. So you need to let your sore muscles rest. And same with weightlifting. Like, I have a 3-day workout program, and you bet your fucking ass like 1 week I'll do day 1 and 2, another week I'll only do day 3. This week I did day 2 and 3. Like, I am not following a Monday to Friday plan. I am trying to get more consistent, but I'm trusting my body and what my body needs in the moments, because I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to overdo it to the point where I dysregulate my hormones or I have a mental breakdown and then I have to like, I don't want to say start all over, because there's no such thing. Like, you're just starting from wherever you're at. But I don't want to hurt myself and I don't want to push myself. And so just start slowly. Start the journey slowly. Maybe in 3 months, I'll be like, guys, I work out 5 days a week. But right now, I don't work out 5 days a week. I do a couple days a week. Depends on the week. Depends what part of my cycle I'm in. If you are a woman or a person who has a menstrual cycle, there are different times in the month where running is better for you, or weightlifting is better for you, or slow yoga is better for you. I don't run if I'm on my period, and I'm really intentional. Maybe I'll go for 2 runs a week if it's in the part of my cycle that is really great for running. I don't know it off the top of my head. Pretty sure it's the luteal phase. Nope, follicular phase. It's the follicular phase after your period. But anyway, that's where I'm at with my physical journey, and I'll share a few weird little like things that I ended up noticing once I started running as well. During my first few runs, I got really weird blisters. I have really high arches on my feet, and I got really weird blisters on the arch of my foot. And I showed my foot doctor, my chiropodist. I showed the physiotherapist that I worked with, and they were like, this is such a weird part of your foot to get a blister. Like, what the fuck? And the first time I ran a 5K, I also cried when I finished, because I was like, holy shit, I never thought I could run a 5 kilometer. It wasn't a race. I never thought I could run 5 kilometers, because my brother would always just like so casually go for a 5 kilometer run, and he could have not ran for months, but he could just go do it, no problem, 30 minutes, done. But for me, I never felt like I could do that. So the first time I finished running 5 kilometers, I cried. I was so proud of myself, and the fucking arches of my feet felt like they were gonna fall off. Like, they just felt like so fiery and so ripped. And so I got like bubbly blisters there, and I was trying to figure out how to fix it. I got my orthotics adjusted, and then I got running socks off Amazon. They're linked to my Amazon storefront in my folder that says workout gear, I think. And so those running socks really, really helped, and I haven't had any blisters on my arches since then. So that's a weird thing that happened. Another thing I noticed when I first started running, and I still still have these moments sometimes, is I feel like a fucking loser. Which makes no sense because I'm so fucking cool for running. But I have moments where I'm running in my neighborhood and I'm like, oh my God, what if this like ex-friend saw me, or what if this ex-boyfriend saw me? They think I'm so lame. And I'm like, bitch, you're on a run. You're not lame. You're a fucking badass. You're pushing yourself physically. You look cool. Don't worry. And everyone looks kind of ugly when they run. So it's all good. And nothing pushes you to run a little faster than running past your ex-boyfriend's house. Because there's like a loop near my house. If you know where I live, which I hope only the people in my inner circle listening to this know where I live, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's like a loop that's 5 kilometers near my house that you can run. And my high school boyfriend that I dated for like 2.5 years, his house, I don't even know if he still lives there. I think his family still lives there, but I run past his street. And every time I run past, I'm like, oh my God, one of them might see me. Oh my God, I might run into one of them. But I'm like, Jess, if you run into one of them, you're literally on a run. So you're not going to like stop your run to say hi. Like it'll be a wave or you'll just ignore completely. Don't stress, girl. You're fucking fine. And then the third weird thing that I noticed when I got into running is that you suddenly become part of a whole new community, which I didn't expect. I went to get new running shoes at the runner's room near my home, and getting to talk about going for runs and all of that was so cool with the guy there. And he said that they run every Wednesday night. I still haven't gone because I was going to go once, but then I got nervous because I didn't want to run with other people. This was pre 10-kilometer race. But now that I've done the race, I'm like, okay, I think I could run with other people. Maybe. But for me, it feels like a very solo journey. It feels like something that I do to connect with myself, and I do to listen to music. And I don't want to feel like I have to match somebody else's pace or anything like that. So who knows? Maybe I'll start running with people. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll push myself to run in the winter. I got a free buff at my race that I went to. It was called Muskoka Marathon. That's where I did it. But honestly, I was a little bit annoyed that I booked this race once September hit, because I did not realize, because I was never a runner, that the Terry Fox run happens in September. And the run for breast cancer happens in September. So I was like, I could have literally gone for these runs for causes that I deeply support. But I thought about going, but the cure for cancer one was, or the breast cancer one, I think it's similar, was the same weekend of my 10-kilometer race, and then the day of the Terry Fox run. You don't care why I didn't go. But anyway, I couldn't make it to either of those runs. So I was like, oh, I could have just done those. But you know what, though? I don't regret anything. My mom came with me to the race. She literally cheered me on so beautifully. Any video you see posted, my mommy took them. She was so nice. She also calls me Jessie, which, like, no, like I never introduced myself as Jessie. I am Jess or Jessica, but my mom and a few very close family members always call me Jessie. So if you see the videos or you hear them, it's like, go Jessie! And it is literally so cute. So having her there to support me was honestly the best. I was so grateful, and the recovery was something, mostly because I was sick. I don't think physically it would have been that hard because I'd been running consistently for a while, but it was really, really fun, and I really, really recommend doing it and pushing yourself. And even though we're going into the winter season, let's still give it a go, bitches. I want to book another race. I want to go to more, even 5-kilometer ones. Maybe I'll do a half marathon one day. I don't know. It's so funny because people are like, so are you going to do a marathon? And I'm like, I'm just on this journey with myself, and I'll probably keep it pretty quiet going forward still, because I just really enjoy having something just for me. When you share a lot of your life on social media, or if you're someone even who just tells everybody in your life everything that's going on, because like I tell my friends and my family pretty much everything going on in my life, it's really cool to keep something just for yourself, and to just have this little secret between me, myself, and I, that I'm doing something to better my health and my mental health, because it just feels really good mentally to push myself to go on runs and to show myself that I can do so much, and I am so capable, and I'm so in charge of my own life. So I hope you enjoyed listening to this little story. I really appreciate you supporting me on not only my podcast journey, but now my running journey. I am really excited about the content I'll be sharing from my run on at humantohumanpod on Instagram. And please share this episode with a friend, because you could become accountability buddies and go for runs together if you want. Or if you have someone who's always talked about going on runs, send them this episode, because I'm trying to encourage more people to do things that are good for their mental health. I really appreciate you, and I will see you on Monday. And make sure you submit a TMI episode. Link is in the show notes. Love you so much.